I'll tell you what, Steiny, Norv Turner never was able to take his Chargers team to a Super Bowl or win a division or NFC championship. So even with this ego thing that we think might be a problem for Kyle, he's still getting the wins. What worries me if I were a Niner fan, this is real. Unless he's about to go on a Bill Belichick run, he's already been to 3 NFC championship games. He's already been had a Super Bowl lead. And Steiny, he may run 5 more. Just be careful of, they'll just pencil the Niners in for this or that. It's hard, and we know it just as much as we follow sports. So that's the funny thing about this. Has his best opportunity come and gone? We'll find out, because this year, if you told me, hey, I didn't tell you this real quick, Norm, while I was in Vegas, sent me $200, told me to put it on the Niner. He ain't even a Niner fan to win the NFC East. That returns $445 and $100 to win the Super Bowl. That brings back $975. So Norm is all in on the Niners. But at some point, Steiny, if Brock ain't Brock, oh my! You talk about
you could make the case, couldn't you, that had the 49ers, had Kyle Shanahan, the coach, not made the Trey Lance move, that
oh my goodness,
Kyle Shanahan, the general manager, had not made the Trey Lance move, Kyle Shanahan, the coach, might have had an extra player or two to utilize.
No doubt about it.
I
can read this list.
I know it's a stretch.
Micah Parsons, whoever you want. It's a list.
And listen, I don't like to do that because, it's kind of easy to do, but maybe you can make a case that Kyle having too much power with the Lance trade has already hurt him. It's already hurt him as a coach. My question is, is it nitpicking right now, considering that, like, everybody acknowledges this mistake was pretty big. Okay, well, if it's a pretty big mistake, why not take a look at whether Kyle Shanahan has too much on his plate? We did it with Don Nelson. Do you think Kyle Shanahan has too much power? There is something to, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but there is something to the son of a coach aspect with Kyle Shanahan that I'm not sure works for him.
That's
because he gets lumped in with his father, which is both good and bad.
But wouldn't we know right now? Wouldn't a player be like, "You're a phony"?
It's not that simple. It's not that simple.
Will you agree with me on this? Right now, nobody's questioned the player's ego. Right now, we got to give him that.
I mean, Garoppolo just did.
Well, he's trying to. There's a reason.
But it's true.
Well, that's like asking a spouse during a breakup about, you know what I mean? Hey, I got to move on. I think they're going to be mad. That's bitterness. But it's still Jimmy's truth.
It is truth. Don't you think it's okay? You acknowledged without any of them that they did Jimmy wrong. He did Jimmy wrong.
No doubt.
Okay, well, then he did Jimmy wrong.
I guess my point, Steiny, is outside of Jimmy, right? Even in the bad times, no players question Kyle. And I think because of his background and his daddy,
maybe because he has all the power in the
game.
World. Maybe because he'll just move him in that case.
But, him never playing the game, if he were a phony or, abusing power, we would hear somebody kind of say something, even a subliminal message. And I don't think we have. Like Lori pointed out.
I do. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, in a way, looked at Kyle Shanahan and says, so wait a minute, I've been playing quarterback my whole life, and I played quarterback behind Tom Brady and I played for Bill Belichick. But here you are. By the way, you were a wide receiver, and you have these ideas of the quarterback position that are unbelievably rigid and demanding, and if they don't go your way, you start getting disappointed. You know what I mean? I could easily see Jimmy Garoppolo thinking that. Now, you know who's not going to think that? Brock Purdy, because he was drafted last in the NFL draft. You know who else isn't going to think that? Trey Lance, who was a project. I do think and listen, I'm not saying he'll never win a Super. I'm just saying there's absolutely something to Kyle Shanahan wants the kind of quarterback in here that he feels comfortable coaching, and one with an ego I don't think he wants any part of, or somebody who's already got some habits developed. I just don't. I don't think he wants I don't think he wants a strong leader of a quarterback.
That's shocking. And his dad had Elway.
Joe's in Seattle. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
Hey, guys. I'll give you an even better example than Don Nelson and all that drama. In 1988, after a stunning loss to the Minnesota Vikings, the game where Steve Young bumbled and stumbled and rumbled for that touchdown, the Niners lost, and Eddie D, the original Joe Lacob, Eddie D, stripped the great Bill Walsh's general managership because he thought as a punishment for not winning championships. Don't think that Jed doesn't remember that or has been told about that. If he has entrusted Kyle with everything, if Brock does not turn out, he's going to say, I gave you all this money, all this power, you've built up the team, but you haven't been able to solve the most important part, quarterback, and don't be expected if Kyle gets something stripped from him. Because his uncle did the same thing to the legend, Bill Walsh.
That's what I call history. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I just can't say I can't see Kyle living with getting his power stripped at this point.
I love where you're going. I'm Steiny. I believe you're right, but I just hate that's too strong. I radio hate that you're using Jimmy and what Jimmy had a message and it's his truth. But I'm on the other side of, you know what, you're so right, but we have no examples of, guys questioning Kyle. And that's why I want to give Kyle credit for, even though his head's big as Jack in the Box, he keeps it in check when it comes to dealing with the players.
Certain players, not big boys. He didn't take on big boys. He doesn't take on big boys.
I don't like those type of bosses.
Who does he take on? He took on Ayuk as a rookie. He took on he took on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, interesting.
Listen, he's a good coach, but does he have too much power? Is the question.
I'll tell you what, if Brock Purdy doesn't work out, that's the title of the jam, I believe. Because right now, Steiny, Niner fan, like you say, Goo, it ain't all about winning Super Bowls, but they've been doing a whole hell of a lot of winning here lately.
Derek's in Arizona. What's up, Derek?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
So,
thank you.
Hey, so I go back to I crossed paths out here in Arizona with a professional quarterback retired now who played under Shanahan, and it comes to mind when you guys are talking about Kyle and his ego and all that. Is I asked this individual, hey, why can't Kyle Shanahan get over the hump with the 49ers? And his exact response is, Kyle's an offensive genius. He's a smart individual, but he's also the smartest guy he knows. So he's very black and white. There's a gray area in football with players and plays, and you just go back to that 28-3 loss to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Yes, there are rules to football and defense and all that, but sometimes it's okay to run the ball.
You're right, man.
Wind down that clock, and he just overthinks it too much, and I think that's where he struggles. Thanks for the time, fellas.
Thank you.
Interesting, Steiny. And just about that, some people wanted to throw stuff at me while I watched that game. You can still pass. You don't run every time. But if you're the Jedi that I think Kyle is, Steiny, what could possibly happen if you drop back to pass? And I didn't, maybe Matt Ryan could get the ball stripped. Oh no, what happened? The ball got stripped. So it was about just run. The clock is who you're playing. So, and that 19 Super Bowl, I'll never forget it, man. I can do a case study on how the Niners let that one just go. They just tricked that off.
Bob's in San Mateo. What's up, Bob? How you doing, man?
Hey, guys. How's it hanging? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
So a couple things real quick. First, just real quick, a little point of historical reference. The two callers back that called about Bill Walsh losing the GM title after a loss back in the day. He was mostly right, but just, me being a season ticket holder back then, I know all of those details are burned in my brain. So actually it was not the 88 season when when Steve Young had that rumbling, bumbling, stumbling 49-yard run, because that was my very first Niner game that I ever
Lon
went to.
Simmons call, yeah.
Right. It was actually the end of the previous season. After 87, they were the strike-shortened season. They were 15-2, best team in the league, and then they lost to the Minnesota Vikings first round, and then that's when Eddie G lost it and took away the title. But Bill Walsh, actually, he was head coach and offensive coordinator. He was head of personnel, and he was the president of the organization. Eddie had given him literally the keys to the entire kingdom, and then took everything away except head coach and offensive coordinator. Anyway, the point I wanted to make is a couple things about Shanahan and what's going on now. So I think the whole thing with Trey and how that shook out, it's some funny, crazy, like football karma, that we went through all of that histrionics of trading the 3 picks and everything, and then giving them up for a fourth rounder so that we could get Brock Purdy for next to nothing, for beyond a bargain, right? I mean, that's our karma. As long as they keep winning, and if they can get back to the Super Bowl with Brock, nobody's going to remember anything about Trey Lance except what a huge gamble it was, right?
No doubt.
I think my last little thing I wanted to say is, as far as Shanahan's ego, I mean, I think he does have an ego, but it's a funny thing. When he passed on Tom Brady, the thing that came to me first off was that, number one, bonehead mistake, right? You never pass on the GOAT when he wants to come to you and only to you with a bow on. But I think it was because he lost to him in the Super Bowl when he was offensive coordinator with Atlanta. It's like, you know what? No, I want to show I can win it without him. This is my show. I don't want him. It's sour grapes is what I think it was from the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Thanks for the call.
I hadn't had that one.
Appreciate it.
The guy that beat me twice, kept me from winning the Super Bowl twice, is I don't want him to come rescue me.
Yeah. My question is to 49. Okay, so, and here's the other thing. We have a tendency to do we really look at the draft and say Kyle? When we say Solomon Thomas, does that really equate to Kyle?
I've been saying John.
Why doesn't it? Why doesn't it? And he's hit on a bunch.
Yeah,
we know that.
Yeah,
but
Banks looking the part.
It's a young guy with a lot of power. He's given a lot of power.
But this is not a complete miss in regard to they're
Trey
going
Lance
7-10.
Trey Lance was.
That was a failure, and you do wonder if it will set this organization back.
Correct.
But right now, that don't look like it. They're being set back, and that's why everybody watching the Brock Purdy thing is incredible. The story, can he continue to be? He set the bar so high. Brock did. Can he continue to live up to it? We'll see.